Marquise and his mom, Sharon.
Well, there was an eerie silence last night right before the pick was made in the draft room after a ton of buzz communication by a lot of people that put in a lot of work, and then that eerie silence crept in, and then Eric made the pick, and then I was accused of having a beaming smile on my face. I don't quite remember, but we're thrilled to have Marquise. He's a dynamic guy. He keeps everybody up at night. That's the vision we have for him. The other team, and he's going to keep us up at night too because of his versatility. We think, and we were able to talk with him when he visited about just being in a lot of different roles for us. And he's got the kind of skill set, we can play him inside, outside, short, deep, all kinds of things. And we're really only limited by our imagination. He brings that kind of versatility to the Ravens. So very thrilled. I would just close in saying that on his visit, I got an incredible feel, I think as did a lot of people, about just the grit and toughness and competitiveness that really emanated from him and what you're looking for. So can't wait to get to work with him.
When you play this position, the first thing you always want when you're looking for someone to be a wide receiver is you got to be a playmaker. And that was the first thing that, in evaluating him, was that he made plays. He made plays all over the field. He is very fast. I don't know, sometimes when talking to him, I got the feeling that he was a little bit faster than I was talking, which is always a good thing, simply because now I know right now that he's going to be able to do the things that we need done on the football field. But he is a tremendous athlete. I'd also like to say, too, is that whenever you're coaching any position and happen to be a wide receiver position, there's sometimes a stereotype put on this position. But he knows, as well as I know, to be a Raven, that the first thing he is as a wide receiver for us is he's a football player who happens to be a wide receiver. And I got that impression from him. He comes from a tremendous program. He's from a program that has played for national championships. He knows that this franchise is about winning Super Bowls. One of the reasons that he felt good about being around us after our conversation was the fact that that's our goal, and that he felt like he could be a big part of doing that, and we feel the same way, and we're excited to have him.
Go for it.
First off, I just want to, thank everybody here. Thank, Eric for, trusting in me, investing in me. But yeah, man, I've been watching the Ravens growing up. I know the tradition here. I know the standard here. And, I'm ready to come in and make a difference right away, Playoff run last year, I'm looking, to help this team make it further than that. So just glad to be here, glad to be a Raven, and, glad to get started.
Marquise, obviously people have been asking you questions about your size for your entire life. Have you sort of found that a way to make that a positive in your life, I guess?
Yeah, I hear it all the time, but when I'm on the football field, there's no more talk. All the talk goes out the window. You just got to go out there and play, and, that's what I'm looking to do.
When John was describing kind of the wide receivers they're looking for, a big part of it he talked about was the ability to block as well. As a 5'10", 165, how do you feel about trying to mix it up with a safety or linebacker in the run game as well?
Just something you practice on as a receiver, Like you said, I'm a football player. I've been having to block since, I was a young kid, so that's just something you have to do. And my coaches at Oklahoma did a good job preparing me and how to get things done. And, you know, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't able to get it done in the run game.
I can just add to that too. When he was in on the visit, I said, I already knew the answer. I already had a real vision for what he represented. But all right, there's 50 guys over here, and you got the tall guys, you got these guys, and then you got the guy over here who's not as tall in stature. You know, why would I want to focus on that guy? And his answer was spot on. You know, he brings toughness that belies any statistic. You know, he's a big little guy, so to speak, as they say, and he plays well beyond those numbers. And his answer was, you know, it speaks for itself on the field and what he's put on film, but also I think we saw it. It jumped off the tape at us that, you know, he plays big, so very interesting.
Marquise, have you thought about your role in helping Baker and Kyler win Heisman trophies, and now you're going to be catching balls from another Heisman Trophy winner? I mean, all you do is catch balls from Heisman Trophy winners.
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed. You know, I just come in and we all got the same goal in mind when you're on the same team, and that's to win, and that's what I'm going to bring here.
Marcus, how close are you to your cousin Antonio, and how influential has he been in your development? And what did he said about the Ravens, given that he knows them pretty well?
We're pretty close. He just congratulated me. You know, he said this is a great place to be, you know, that I love it and just enjoy the moment and just get to work. You know, it's time to become a pro.
Is there a comfort level having other Oklahoma players here for you sort of kind of lean on as you learn the ropes?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, Orlando was somebody that helped me when I first got to Oklahoma. So for him to be here, you know, he called me, and I know that's like a big brother to me.
Hey, Marquise, going back to Antonio, what did he tell you about the Ravens-Steelers rivalry? Obviously, he was on the other side of this thing, but what did he tell you about that?
He just said, you know, that's a crazy game. We didn't really talk about it since I've been here, but before, you know, when we play Ravens-Steelers game, you know, it gets pretty intense.
Marquise, you told us yesterday about how you worked at Six Flags. You went out to California for junior college. What did you do when you were at junior college that allowed you to develop into this Division I recruit NFL prospect?
Just, you know, from my time from working, you know, I'll go to the field, do drills, you know, coaches open up the weight room for me, and just started to develop myself and set that standard for myself and help myself to a different standard so, you know, I could get to where I needed to be.
Marcus, when we saw that wave of emotion kind of hit you last night, was that kind of the whole journey hitting you? I mean, from growing up with your mom and your sister, and then, you know, walking to work, was it sort of all that hitting you at once?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. You know, I told myself, you know, I'm not gonna cry out there, but I don't know how I let it happen. But yeah, it's just testament to everything I've been through, you know, and just all the hard work. But you know, I know this is just the beginning.
Greg, you guys have been very open about how you're building the offense and you're redesigning it and starting kind of over in a different way. How important is the speed element and having that kind of home run hitter on the outside to what you're building?
I mean, it changes everything. It really does. It really changes math. It changes angles. It changes, you know, what we can do. You can kind of hit the defense at every level, and you know, it definitely, it's going to bring an element where we'll be adding and developing things, you know, that will focus on Marquise as we go, you know. So we'll have our system, obviously, but there'll be things that grow off of that as well, you know, down the field, you know, everywhere, behind the line of scrimmage and behind the defense.
Marcus, when you've worked out with Antonio in the summer, what's the best advice he's given you on sort of the details of playing the position at this level?
Just knowing what you're up against when you're facing the defenses. You know, always have, you know, different releases in your toolbox, knowing how to attack the coverages, knowing what the defense is trying to do to you.
Have you given much thought about what number you'll wear as a pro?
No, not yet. I ain't really processed it all yet.
And would you rather us call you Hollywood or Marquise?
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
You are also, even though people will talk about your size, guys, when you watched you play, you will go over the middle. Don't have too much hesitation. What kind of mentality does it take for you to go over the middle, knowing you can take those hard hits if you get the ball?
It's because, it's not that many people when you go across that middle at my speed that's going to really come up and hit you that hard. So that's my mindset, I'm going to come across real fast, and if you take that shot on me, then you're a man. So, I'm going to test you out.
They better make it, though.
Yeah.
Better make the play.
Yeah.
What was your first impression when you started doing your homework on the wide receiver class and you saw Marquise? What kind of stood out to you immediately?
Well, as I mentioned first, playmaking ability. And I felt like after watching all the guys in the draft, the one thing that really stood out about him, as opposed to some of the other guys, that when the ball was in his hands, there was always a chance for a touchdown to be scored. And Greg talked about earlier about, what he brings to us is that, the other thing about his speed, forgetting about his size, is that he puts you on the defensive right away. Because anytime the ball is in his hands, there is a chance that there is a touchdown, whether it's a 1-yard route, a 10-yard route, or a route down the field. He gives you that ability to be able to do that.
Marquise, how well do you know Lamar? How well do you know Lamar?
I know him pretty well. We wasn't close growing up, but just playing football in South Florida is like, guys, and, you communicate through social media, so it's been cool.
You're the first receiver taken off the board. What did that mean to you?
I just found out, that I was the first one. I wasn't really paying attention, but it's just, it's all about schemes. It's about fit. So I don't really get in too much in that.
Do you have a target date for when you'll be fully back from your foot injury and be able to be a full go?
I don't have an exact date, but I should be ready to go by camp.
And David, for having a rookie wide receiver who maybe can't participate in rookie minicamp and minicamp, how can you make sure Hollywood is still involved in learning before he's 100%?
Well, he'll still be with us doing everything that we do in the classroom. He'll be on the field watching and watching our guys that are already here doing certain things and just learning the playbook. I have no doubt that when it's come times for him to be ready to go, he'll be ready to go.
Greg, I would allow the offense to, the running game to open up because the safety can't sit in the box any longer?
I mean, that's going to happen sometimes, without question. I mean, you can control 2 defenders with 1 offensive player at times when that happens, so there's no question. I'm sure that'll happen at times. And if they choose to do that, then that's going to open up a lot of opportunities elsewhere. We want to be that kind of offense.